Good evening and welcome to the Friday forecast. It is International Week. We aren't doing international football. I refuse to do it. So today, for a bit of a change, we are going to do 3 in, 3 out. So I have challenged the guys to pick 3 players to put into a club and 3 players to take out this summer. They have to be realistic. And if they aren't, we'll be having words later. So I am your host, Chris Brack, and today I am joined by Oscar from All Leeds TV, Matt, the regular, is back, and the Robin to my Batman, Avy, is also here as well. So hello, gents. How are we all?
All good, good.
Excellent. Right, let's fly in. So Oscar, we'll start with you first. So Oscar has been given Leeds and Chelsea to do, and just give an update who the others have got. Avy, you've got Man City and Liverpool, and Matt has got Tottenham and Man United. So, Oscar, we'll start with you. So, you were given Chelsea. So, you're in charge of Chelsea. What 3 players are you binning off, and what 3 players are you bringing in?
Okay. I think I've got to start with the defenders. I'm getting rid of Azpilicueta. I think he's just been a great player in the Premier League, but now, is he really performing in the league? Really? Is he really at his best? Yeah, you could argue the leadership, but I think Thiago Silva's kind of taken that role off him now. So I've gone Azpilicueta to go. Do you want the other players as well to go?
Yeah, go on.
I've got rid of Jorginho as well. I just don't massively rate Jorginho, to be fair. I think there's better midfield options out there. I think Chelsea needs better midfield options than Jorginho, to be honest. And the last one might be quite controversial. I've gone Hakim Ziyech to go because this is because of who I brought in, though. I just think Ziyech, I don't think he's suited to this league particularly well. I think obviously 28. I think obviously you look at the likes of Havertz and Werner. Yeah, Ziyech has probably played better this season than those two, but he's 28. I just think the improvement is there with Havertz and Werner, etc. I think they're all just a bit younger. I just think Ziyech needs to go as well. But you might see why when they go through who I'm going to bring in, though. But do you want the people to come in?
Go on then. So let's see you bring it in, and then we'll see what we think of your business.
Okay, I'm going to start with the centre back to replace Azpilicueta. I'm going to go for Jules Koundé from Sevilla. Massive fan of his. I think he is a future France captain, potentially. I do like my Spanish football. And he's been a standout for Sevilla this season. I think he just do a bit of everything. Ball playing, good in the air, considering his height. Just got a bit of everything about him. And I think alongside a Thiago Silva, I think he could suit it, to be honest. I think he could suit it pretty well. So I'm going to go with, and young as well, only 21. So he's got a big potential. So I'm going to go Koundé. It's quite an ambitious signing as the centre back even.
Okay, and who are your other ones?
So centre mid, I've gone with Nicolo Barella from Inter Milan, being out one of the stars of the season in terms of in Serie A. Massive part of Inter Milan being up at the top of the table, and just basing it off the system they've gone with so far, Chelsea, the 3-4-2-1. I just think in that midfield, alongside Kante or Kovacic, I just think Barella suits it perfectly. He's got that bit of energy about him. He can tackle. He's got that quality on the ball. I think it's 3 goals, 5 assists this season for quite a defensive Conte team. Plays box to box, can play hold in the field, can play pretty much anywhere. Nicolo Barella is the man for that midfield job for me. And do you want the forward?
Go on then. Who's your forward?
The forward I've gone for is João Felix from Atletico Madrid. I was thinking Haaland's the obvious one, but I just don't think Chelsea can get Haaland, to be honest. I think Haaland's there for Madrid, someone right at the top end of the table, City, PSG, etc. I don't think Chelsea are quite at that level yet, but I've gone João Felix. I think, yes, in terms of goals and that lot, for Atletico Madrid, he's not got tons of goals, but he's running quite a defensive team. I think in Atletico Madrid, Chelsea can play in the 10 role, he can play out wide, he can play through the middle. I just think Chelsea got plenty of good options out wide. I think, obviously, Abraham and Giroud are decent target men. I just think Felix gives them that something a little bit different. Could play a bit of play everywhere, and maybe just gives them that kind of sort of Hazard kind of feel, and someone who can carry the ball and kind of take the game by a scruff of the neck when they need him to. Fantastic player. I've gone João Felix as the forward to come in and kind of replace what Ziyech does.
Cool. So before we go into the team, Laura Duffy, regular on the show, her suggestion for Chelsea is out Rudiger, Alonso, and Christensen, and in Felipe from Atletico, Talafico, I hope I've said that right, from Ajax, and Donnarumma from Milan. So, Avi, Chelsea, what are your thoughts of the business?
Yeah, I think the Azpilicueta one is a bit of a surprise. Just that he's been a great servant for Chelsea. I think his experience is still sort of needed, and Tuchel does like sort of an old guard as well. I know they've got Thiago Silva, but you just feel that how many more years has Thiago Silva got at the top? I think Jules Koundé is a great shout. I'm a massive fan of him myself, Oscar. I think he's a brilliant player. He was actually my first choice for Liverpool. But then I chose someone else because I knew Koundé would have been the obvious one. But Koundé is great. I think Ziyech, maybe needs one more year. I think this is year he's probably settling in year, and then next season he's had his fair share of injuries as well this season. He's been in and out. The Lampard switch with Tuchel didn't help. And Jorginho, again he seems to be better. He seems to have a new lease of life under Tuchel, whereas with Lampard he was still sort of in and out of the team. I know he was Sarri's go-to man and back from Napoli. And the changes of Felix, but I don't know how much he would cost. I know Atletico Madrid paid 119 million for him, and I know Chelsea are absolutely loaded. But just wondering where that leaves Havertz, because Havertz, he takes that number 10 role, doesn't he? Or he can play against, I think, Germany yesterday or the day before, he played as the central striker. But they are great choices. João Felix, and who was the last choice? Did you say?
Nicolo Barella from Inter
Nicolo
Milan.
Barella, great player. Yeah, again, Inter Milan. I'm a big fan of Sandro Tonali, who's at Milan. But Nicolo Barella, again, energetic, really, plays with a good intensity. Just that little question mark whether Italians, whether they make it in the Premiership these days, because we haven't seen it in a long time. I think we had
record, to be fair.
Yeah, we had Aquilani, and it just didn't work out. Yeah, he had his fair share of injuries, but that's that's Chris's sarcasm coming through.
Yeah.
But
the only player I know we signed injured.
Yeah, and then we had Desena, who was absolutely awful. Apart from 2 great goals that he scored against United and Madrid. But those are great shouts. So I agree with those.
Cool. Matt, are you happy with those shouts, or is anyone you think might be a bit of a better fit for Chelsea, in or out?
I think for the outs, they're really bold shouts. But look, it'd be boring if we came on here and just said the obvious. I think Jorginho is kind of important to that Chelsea midfield. But I suppose it makes sense in terms of Thomas Tuchel potentially trying to be someone who kind of builds something at Chelsea rather than being their typical 1-2 year manager, win a trophy, finish fourth, then get sacked. I think if he is trying to build something that wants to get his own sort of philosophy in that team, switching around those kind of core players and bringing in people who'd suit him, like Jorginho came in with Maurizio Sarri for the Sarri ball, and that was kind of his kind of stamp on that team. I think Azpilicueta has been an incredible servant for Chelsea, and as a Spurs fan, I don't like seeing that, but credit where it's due. He's been good, but of course pushing on as well. With Hakim Ziyech, I think that was always going to be a very dangerous signing for Chelsea, because coming from the Eredivisie, which isn't one of the top leagues in Europe, there's good quality of football over there, but it's not really a quality that's kind of transmissible into other leagues. And I think we're seeing that with Ziyech and his the way he struggled, but of course the injuries, and I think he was ill for a while as well, doesn't help. So I think 1-2 seasons for him max, and probably could be moved on this summer as well, I suppose. But João Felix is a player I really like. Of course, struggling at Atletico Madrid, but he showed at Benfica. He has the quality. He has an eye for goal. I think he just needs to get into a system that would suit him a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts with Chelsea was the pretty obvious ones. One was get rid of the keeper. You could pick a choice, Mendy or Kepa. And the obvious one is Donnarumma, because that seems to be one they're linked with, and he's on a free. In terms of centre-backs, I agree with what you're saying about Thiago Silva, but he's very good at hiding his age, whereas Christensen, to me, is a liability. And the Chelsea thing to do would be to go for Koulibaly. That is a very Chelsea thing. They just go for ready-made. They know what he's made of, and they would probably just put the money down for him. The one I think who might go for Chelsea this year is Pulisic. I just think he's got the Matips about him. As in, when he's fit, he's absolutely brilliant. But that's the big question. When he's fit, he can't string a run of games together. It's just unfortunate. And I think Chelsea, if they want to be challenging where they want to be, they need someone of his quality. But they need someone of his quality who's available 70-80% of the time. And I just don't think Pulisic is there yet, sadly for him.
There's a lot of talk that him and Tuchel don't get on. This is from the back of the 6-month loan when they signed him in January, Chelsea, and he stayed on at Dortmund for 6 months. He didn't get on with Tuchel, so that's why he's been, again, in and out of the team. So there's talk of maybe he might leave at a cut price in the summer for like 40 million, but let's see.
Yeah.
I think he's Chelsea's best player when fit, to be honest, or one of Chelsea's best players. I think certainly last season, I think he stood up. I think without him, I don't think Chelsea would have made top four, to be honest.
Liam Morrissey has said, according to Matt Law, said Lukaku is back on the Chelsea radar. I mean, listen, Lukaku would work for quite a few Premier League clubs. I know it. You know, we know Chelsea have tried to get him back in the past, so it wouldn't surprise me. Rajiv Kumar wants to know, Avi, would you take Pulisic at Liverpool?
It's a tough one because I love him. Obviously being American too, but
Is he?
I just feel for his hamstrings. He did pull up badly against Arsenal, wasn't it, in the cup final? You just think whether it's the same as Michael Owen, he does get persistent hamstring injuries, and that's the last thing that Liverpool Football Club need. We've had that with Naby Keita. We don't need that with Pulisic. So I'd probably, unfortunately, take a miss on Pulisic.
Fair enough. Right, Matt, let's go to you. Let's start with Man United for you. So who are you in, who are you out? Can we try and keep the stats down to 20 minutes if we can?
We push for 30, then we go. I think United was a bit of a weird one because for a lot of these teams, you're looking for kind of these gems hidden around Europe, as Oscar's done with the likes of Nicolo Barella. But I think with United, it's these big players they're looking for, picking the three best that would fit. And I'll start with Jules Koundé as well, because I've thrown him in there for Man United. I'm a huge fan of him. His stats for a lot of the part are kind of comparable to Virgil van Dijk last season. Obviously, for the majority, Virgil van Dijk is ahead, but there's some there where he's really up there. His aerial dual success rate is 74.5%, which is in the 97th percentile in European football. And again, as Oscar mentioned, he's not the tallest. It is really impressive. He's pacey, he's physical, he's powerful. He's good playing the ball out from the back as well. He's really progressive in terms of his dribbling more than his passing. But I think when you're looking at that United defence, personally, I think they needed someone in there beside Eric Bailly. And given the Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire are the two starters, it's a weird one there, in my opinion, from Solskjaer. But Koundé, I think, is a player who could step into the majority of defences in European football, and he's one who could really steady the boat there for Man United and start keeping clean sheets there, whether it's in front of De Gea or Henderson. And in front of Koundé, I think a player who, look, again, it's one that United are being touted to do, but probably the best option in midfield for them is Declan Royce. He's a player that I've grown to like in a way that I don't want to, because of course playing for West Ham and what he did to Ireland and all that, and I don't really like the kind of style of play that he has. He's not tidy. He's just purely there, and he's a bit of a nuisance. And I think he'd be fantastic in that United midfield alongside Scott McTominay, because you're looking at Fred in there, who had a good 12 to 18 months, was an important player for them, but has since just regressed so much. Look at that mistake he made against Leicester. It's becoming a common theme with him. And I think someone like Declan Royce in that midfield could allow McTominay a bit more freedom. Watching him a bit last night for Scotland against Australia, who are a very good team. When he gets in the ball, drives forward, he's able to take men on, he's able to pick passes out. And I think him being in that kind of double pivot is important for the defensive side of things, two big physical players. But I do feel as though McTominay needs that freedom to push on a bit more for them. And the other one, I think every United fan wanted at this stage, and it's Jaden Sancho. I feel it's one that it's a win rather than if, to be honest. Sancho, look, an incredible player. No one's going to hide that. This season, he's been a bit kind of below the standard he set last season. He's 6 goals and 9 assists, but last year 29 goal contributions in 23 games, which is one every 62.3 minutes, which is the best for United is Rashford on 104.5 minutes for every goal contribution. So he's streets ahead of all those United players. In terms of chances created, pass completion, dribbles per 90, he's way out in front of all those players. The only thing you would question is his defensive work rate, which isn't very good. He tends to kind of stay up on that last man and give the attacking team a bit of something to think about in a defensive area. But Sancho for me is the key to that United attack. They're struggling for someone to nail down that position on the right. Dan James can't do it. Mason Greenwood has gone backwards this season. So I think Jaden Sancho in there could be a fantastic addition.
Cool. Right, before I go back to the guys, Laura Duffy's on fire. I probably should have got Laura on the show, really. So for her, United outs are Jones, Lindelof, Van der Beek, and in Koundé, Darun from Atalanta, and Thuram from Gladbach. So good interesting shouts there, to be honest. Oscar, Man United, your favourite club. What are you thinking? Are they the sort of moves you would expect them to make, or was there anything different you would see for them?
I think it's very good shouts. I actually think that's going to be pretty much what they do. I think certainly Declan Rice is one. I actually think Declan Rice will end up going there, to be honest. I think Sancho will as well. I think that's two very good shouts off Matt. But I'd argue Man United, really, I think Diallo looks pretty good. I hate to say it, but he looks pretty good, to be fair, on the right-hand side. I kind of think Man United need more of a out-and-out centre forward, to be honest. And Matt's going to hate me a lot for saying this.
Don't say it, Oscar.
He's going to hate me a lot for saying this, but
Veniscus.
I think, Fernando Llorente's available. Look, I think Kane's, I hate to say it, I would have thought he'd probably be out of their price range anyway, but I'm going to say Kane. I would have said Lukaku, but I don't think he can go back there after the way they kind of... I just find it funny, the way they made all that work to keep on of Martial, and they let go of Lukaku, and I'm thinking...
They made him a bit of a scapegoat as well, didn't they? They stopped saying that he's Dyer and whatnot.
Absolutely. I mean, all day long they should have kept Lukaku and got rid of Martial. If it had to be one or the other, for me, I think Lukaku's the obvious one you keep. But I'd go Kane. Yeah. I think with players like Rashford, Greenwood, and that lot, Fernandes to kind of run off. When Kane drops into that kind of like 10 role, I think he fits them really well. And I'm going to say someone else. I just think that midfield from time to time needs a bit more know-how and experience. I'm going to go quite ambitious there. Marco Verratti, I actually think would be a pretty decent fit just for the last couple of years of his career in the Premier League. I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. Not Man United though, somewhere else. But I think he'd be a pretty good shout for them. But Koundé is definitely a good shout alongside Maguire at the back, I think.
Cool. Liam Morrissey is back again. So he says for United, the ins are Sancho, Basuma, and Sergio Aguero. And outs would be James, Martial, and Matic. Aguero would be an interesting one because Cavani's leaving, and United do like to buy an experienced forward just to come and give them a handout. It's not the out. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. There have been dealings between two clubs before. Avi, what would you do with United?
Yeah, I think. Well, I know that they're definitely in for Koundé. United, Declan Royce. I think he wants to play alongside his mate, doesn't he? Mason Mount at Chelsea. I know they've been linked with him in the past, United have with Declan Rice. I think the ship has sailed with Sancho, Matt. I really think that with Amad Diallo and Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, Bruno, Shola Shortire, who's a very good prospect, Pulisic, I think, who's gone out on loan that they brought from Uruguay. I think the ship has really sailed on Sancho because I think there's big hopes of Diallo coming in, and actually next year they're expecting his breakout year. I think Greenwood, it happens with the youngsters, isn't it? They have a great sort of breakout sort of season, like last season that he had, and then he's just maybe learning the real sort of tough and the bustle of the Premier League this season. So I think next season we probably see a better Greenwood, but Sancho is definitely going to be interesting where he sort of ends up. It could just be that he stays on another year at Dortmund, but that would be it's definitely an interesting one for the summer with Jaden Sancho.
Cool. My sort of thoughts of United were, I do think we need a centre-back. I think it's one of Lindelof or Bailly that will go. Bailly because he can't stay fit. It's not an ability. Lindelof, I just don't think he's at the level they want. I'm surprised that they wouldn't look at someone like a Botman, who has been linked with us. He's at the age profile that probably United want, which is 23, 24. I think they want to bring in a young but talented centre-back to work alongside the Maguire. For me, I'm not a big Fred fan. I think he's okay, but I think McTominay outshines him in more than ways one. I think if you want a DM, he'd cost a fortune, but I'd get Ndidi from Leicester. I just think he's on. I think he's brilliant, and he would be what United need. He's got physicality, he's got mobility, and he'd scare the life out of teams because you wouldn't want to face him. He'd be a nightmare, and he would make United scary, I would think.
Even another player who goes under the radar, he's had a superb season at Spurs, Højbjerg. Someone that just sits there at United, like a Carrick type, and just plays the ball, tackles. His work rate is phenomenal. For me, under a better manager than Ole, he would flourish at a top team, like he is right now for Spurs.
I'm glad you added that in. I was getting concerned.
I don't want to get on your bad side, Matt. So Højbjerg for sure. Like he would be a great fit for United. But yeah, Ndidi again, most winning tackles this season, doesn't he? Standing tackles and possession. Winning back possession. So yeah, it's a great shout. Basuma is another one.
Yeah,
I like Basuma.
I do like Basuma. The other player I think might leave United this year is Dan James. I think his time's done with United. He's a good impact sub for them, but I think at his age, I think he'll want to play regularly, and I think it'll probably do good. I think the experience of United will do good. I think he's one of those players perhaps needs a step down politely because it will be United will be a step down to then come back up with a bit more experience. Yeah, I think it'll do him good.
Okay.
Take us out. Go on.
I was going to say, will I give you my 3 out because I didn't get a chance to get them.
Yeah, sorry, go with your outs.
So the first one I have is Fred, just because he is an appalling footballer. He of course goes out and Declan Royce will come in there. He just gives the ball away. I think, as I said, he does hold McTominay back. The other one I've gone with is Juan Mata, because between him, Phil Jones, and Marcus Rojo, he is the highest market value on Transfermarkt. I think there's a lot of deadwood in that United team to get out. I was thinking Dan James, but I think he does offer something in the games where they are going to be kind of under the cash, like against City, against Liverpool and things like that. He's just blistering on the counter-attack. And the other one, this is the one that I think a lot of people will disagree with, is Paul Pogba. Incredible footballer. There's no question that whatsoever, but he's just a bad apple in that dressing room. He can come out for 3 weeks, play the best football of his life. He did it against AC Milan in the Europa League. He plays so well, have one bad appearance. Mino Raiola would say he wants to leave, and then all of a sudden United are crap for 3 weeks because they're trying to deal with whatever rift is in the dressing room. So I think football-wise, he's incredible, but it just does not make up for the rift that he could cause in that dressing room. And he does on a regular basis.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about Pompa. The thing with Pompa is probably like, who can really afford it? Probably PSG. And will he, PSG can't, as much as people say PSG can buy them, PSG can't buy everyone. As much as people believe it, they can't buy everyone. In terms of the bad egg thing, I think he's an easy target. I think his agent makes him an easy target. But there's definitely been times where I have seen, and it's probably sacrilege to say, I've seen Bruno Fernandes have pretty abject performances, probably worse than Pompa, but he doesn't get brought up. Probably because he's a good player, he's scoring goals. But to me, I still think Pompa's a key player for. Maybe he just doesn't work under this manager.
I think. Sorry, guys, I'm sorry, but he's an enigma. He really is. He came. How long's he been at the Premiership for, Matt? 6 years? 5 years? Is it?
Well, like that.
I say so. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, in those 5-6 years, and they try to create a team around Pogba, right? The whole Stormzy video, the unveiling, Adidas and whatnot, all that bollocks, right? Mind my language now. So he's been in the Premiership for 5-6 years. Name me one season where they ran close to winning the Premiership in those 5-6 years. They haven't. They've spent an endless amount of money, tried to create this team around Pogba. He just isn't for me. For a player of his quality, he needs to be doing it week in, week out. He can do it against the Leicesters, the Spurs, the Liverpools. He doesn't actually do it against the top teams, but against the bottom teams, he does it. But then he needs to be consistent over a course of a 38-game season. All right, he scored a goal against Milan. He came off the bench. Great. And to be fair, this season, he probably has picked up. And when they don't have Pogba, they miss him. But all this, honestly, that this talk about Pogba, that we get a lot from United fans, he is nothing but an enigma. He needs a move away for his own sake, right? To walk away after 6 years with the Europa League and League Cup, that's it, job done. Fergie wasn't wrong when he let him go. All right, he wanted to leave for better football opportunities at Juventus, whatnot, but Fergie, he knows a player. He knows how to spot a player, right? If he really wanted to, he would have kept Pogba. But for me, I just don't think he's a Premiership player. I really don't. I think a slower league like the Spanish league, the French league, the Italian league, he will flourish. But for me, he just doesn't do it for me, especially at the price that they paid him for as well at the time.
I don't think you get him in the same team. Him and Fernandes, I just don't think you get him in the same team. Without a solid DM to kind of like cover them, I just don't think United have that. I think McTominay could be, but I don't think he's a natural out-and-out DM. I just think Pogba and Fernandes, they try and take risks on the ball all the time. It's hard to keep the ball when you've got two players who just want to play the Hollywood ball every single time in that lot.
But
I don't think you get them in the same team.
But the reason you can't get them in the same team is because the defensive cover behind them probably isn't mobile enough. As in, like, if he had someone of the Basuma, the Ndidis, or like we've got when he plays there, Fabinho can do the job. We only need one holder rather than two. So there is my thing with Pompa is I could see him going. I just can't see who can afford him or how much of a hit United want to take. It's not like, and look, United, as much as a rich club they are, every club's got a level they can take a hit to, and I don't know what big a hit they can take at him. So it will be interesting.
What's his resale value in the summer then? 80 million, 90 million? He's not going to command 100 million, would he?
According to Transfermarkt, it's 54.
Yeah, I think so it's about 60, 70 maybe then.
Yeah, but 60, 70. There aren't many clubs that have got 60, 70. No, it's 28.
27, 28, okay.
Yeah, but we will see. It's an interesting one. Right, a bit of admin for me because I didn't do it. I forgot to do it last week. I was too excited to do the draft, so I got told off. So please, if you can, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe. When we get to 10,000 subscribers, there will be a big giveaway. And, so please, tell your family, tell your friends, like and share the videos. For those of you who don't know already, we do have a website now. It is live. It is lfcdt.com. So it's got my ugly mug in it. It's got Avy's on it as well. It's got all the links to what we do, links to the shows, and it does have an article section. Now, for the article section, it isn't just the contributors that write to it. If you want to write an article about football, about Liverpool, you can send it into us, and we can put it up there. We can put it up there for you. So we've already got articles. We've got articles about the fall of Italian football from the high point of the 90s. We've had talks of trends. We've had talks of can Liverpool retain the title. People writing about their favourite seasons. If you're interested in writing, or you're a young writer, and you want to get your work out there, just send it in, and we can put it up there for you. If you never wrote before and you want to, but you always want to write, so write it. We're pretty open to what people want to do. And the other thing is, Discord is now back for LFC Daytrippers. The link is in the description, so please join the Discord group. We've already got stuff in there. Me and Avy have had a good laugh in it. We've had lots of good interaction today with the 3 in 3 out. Some great suggestions of what people want to see in other clubs. So, please join us in that. And that's my admin things done. Right, Mr. Avy, the easiest job in the world. You were in charge of Man City's transfers. So, what 3 players you bring in? What 3 players you bringing out?
I've tried to be as sensible as I can. So. I think Sergio Aguero is gone. I think this is his last season with City. Great servant, great player, broken all kinds of records. For me, probably the best striker in the Premiership. Really, I think he's superb. I've replaced him with. I'm just going to go 1 in and 1 out. I've replaced him with, I think, Erling Haaland. I think Haaland's a massive target for them. I think he fits the bill. His father was an ex-player as well. Oscar will remember because he was at Leeds. But I think Haaland's a big target for them. Yeah. So my next player, I think Fernandinho. It might be time to say goodbye to him. He can go off to Brazil and enjoy retirement at Sao Paulo or somewhere. And I've replaced him with a young midfielder from Germany, Dennis Zakaria, who's coming from Mönchengladbach. A really good player. I think he's 23. He's had a bit of an up and down season, but I think he's a player that would just fit in that City midfield. And with De Bruyne and Gundogan in front of him, I think he'd be a great sitting player, even though they've got Rodri as well. But he's a player that I would keep an eye on for them. And then I think it's another goodbye to, again, he's been a good servant for them, ex-Spurs player too, Kyle Walker. I think it's time to say goodbye to him. I think his time is sort of past. And I've replaced him with a player who's on loan from Barca, but he's playing at Real Betis. He's been really good for them. Emerson, he's a right back. He's 22 years old, really good. I know they've got Cancelo as well, but Cancelo, I think we've seen him play like further up this season in a midfield role or left back. But Emerson's a really good talent from Betis. He's one that, if Liverpool were going to sort of push Trent into midfield in the future, he's definitely a player that I would definitely have an eye on. But yeah, Emerson, I was going to go for Robin Gosens from Atlanta, who's just a machine, an assist king for Atalanta, a fullback. But he plays in a wing-back system for Atlanta. So I've gone with Emerson, Zakaria, and Haaland coming in. And my outs are Aguero, Fernandinho, and Kyle Walker.
Okay. Laura Duffy's back. So for City, she would get rid of Aguero, Zinchenko, and Garcia. And then she would bring in Gosens, Haaland, and Dybala. Yeah. Very top of it. I definitely should have got Laura on this show. So, Matt, what are you thinking? Man City?
I think that's all really realistic, to be honest. Man City are never the type of team who, obviously they spend a lot of money, but they don't spend on the best players in the world. I think Rodri is a record signing at £65 million, which would probably be a big surprise to most people. But that is kind of the player they go for, a player who's kind of on the brink of reaching that top level. And I can't say I know anything about Emerson, the right back, but for Dennis Zakaria, he's such a good player. He's one of the few players I think who is physically powerful and a big enforcer in there, but he's also technically brilliant. He is a really, really good passer of the ball, and he's doing really well at Mönchengladbach, who our team are kind of up and down, as Avy said, in Germany, but I think he'd be a fantastic addition. And Haaland, look, I've spoken to so many Chelsea fans who were absolutely adamant that he'd be at Stamford Bridge next season. I cannot for the life of me see that happen. I think if he does come to the Premier League, it will be to Manchester, whether it's the blue side or the red side. I think does remain to be seen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did end up there with Pep Guardiola. And for the outs, I think Aguero was the first one, wasn't it? Aguero and Fernandinho. Yeah, I think both, like you said, fantastic servants. Aguero won Premier League goal in the last 14 months, I think says all you need to know about that. Through no fault of his own, he's just not the same he was. It's age, it's injuries and all that stuff. And Fernandinho, I think, as well, has been fantastic, but probably at the end.
Cool. Rajiv Kumar is back in the chat. He said, Haaland for Aguero. We'll possibly get rid of Mendy. And I think De Jong for Rodri would be a good swap. Gives them a greater control on the ball and more dynamism in midfield. Right, before we go through mine, Oscar, what's your thoughts on what City could do?
Yeah, I think certainly the outs I agree with. The only one maybe I might say is Walker. I still think Walker can possibly do as a job as a backup right back, but certainly not a starting right back anymore. I think certainly Zakaria and Haaland. Yeah, I think absolutely solid shouts. I think certainly, in terms of the holding midfielders, I think obviously Rodri has been much, much better this season. I think loads better than he was last season. But yeah, I still think he needs that bit of competition. Certainly if Fernandinho is getting on a bit. But I'm going to actually put forward the left back. So I think when Cancelo drops into midfield and that lot, he's almost like he don't have that much threat going down that left-hand side. I think obviously Zinchenko and Mendy, they're okay. But I don't think they are particularly great in terms of one area of the game, not specifically good going forward, not specifically good defensively. I think they can improve in that area. So I'm going to go Rafael Guerrero from Borussia Dortmund. I think you can question his defending. I think it's perfectly fair to question his defending, but in a City team that dominates the ball so
you don't need to defend very often.
Technically superb as well. When you're technically superb, isn't he?
Oh yeah, the goals and the assists he gets, I just think he gives them a whole different life on that left-hand side. A bit like when Pep signed Jordi Alba, to be fair, towards the end of his time at Barca. Just gave him that different kind of threat on the left-hand side. But when you've got Diaz, Stones, Rodri, Bernardo Silva will work all day long as well in terms of pressing. I think it's fine if you're not particularly good defensively. I don't think Cancelo's the best defender in the world, to be honest. I think he's a fantastic fullback, but I don't think you necessarily see that defensive side of the game very often. But yeah, I'm going to say the only different player I'm going to go for is Rafael Guerrero. I'd probably get rid of Mendy, to be honest. I think Mendy's just too injury prone. I think obviously great potential, but yeah, a bit too injury prone for me.
Cool. Dan J said he'd get rid of Mendy, Fernandinho, Aguero, and he'd bring in Tierney, Doug Luiz is on a buyback clause, and Andre Silva. And friend of the show.
His name's come out a bit, hasn't he? Andre Silva. His name in the last few days. I know he's had a good season at Frankfurt, and I think he was at. Where was he at? Where was he? Was he at which Andre Silva's the one who was at Milan?
Monaco?
Was it Milan as well? Who's that? He did a short stint at Milan, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, that's
Porto, I think.
Porto. Yeah, he was like sort of a record signing at the time.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's one definitely to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what I thought for City was, I had Aguero, Fernandinho, and Mendy. They were the three I'd get rid of. Mendy because he's never fit. Fernandinho, I just think Fernandinho and Aguero, I think it's just Father Time's caught up with them. Nothing to do with ability. I just think they're at that age. Because City have the money, and they would. I'm surprised one of the top six teams haven't tried to take Lucas Digne from Everton. Lucas Digne for Everton would work perfectly on that City side. He's great going forward, decent free kick, decent wide free kicks for them. I think he fits in perfectly, and he's a better defender than Mendy or Zinchenko, in my opinion. And then up front, Haaland doesn't surprise me. The other one I've seen linked again is Lukaku. He's being linked again with a move back to England. And I think there is talk that Inter need to move one of their big stars on. So, I mean, can you imagine Lukaku with Sterling and Mahrez either side of him? It would be a scary prospect. And again, the one I put was Ndidi. I just think Ndidi will eventually end up at one of the Manchester clubs at some point. I just think he's that type of player that they need. But yeah, so I mean, to be honest, City, it isn't the most difficult one to do because, to be honest, they don't have too many weaknesses. The only thing City may do is you may find them might have to replace someone like a Mahrez, who may get bored of being a regular sub, but that's not a quality. That's just because he wants to play regularly. But the only one I've seen a few people mention on the chat is Bernardo Silva. Has he gone stale? I mean, I think actually he's improved this year because I thought last year he was very off the ball and stale. So he's possibly another one that City might look to move on. Right, Oscar, we'll come back to you now. Leeds. What would you do to Leeds?
Okay, well, I'll start with the outs first. Kiko Casilla just needs to leave the club. There's no question about that. He is absolutely diabolical in goal. He managed to concede 3 against Crawley from 3 shots.
It's impressive.
All mistakes, by the way, as well.
It's consistent, though.
Consistently bad, yeah. To be fair, honestly, Chris, mate, the last time Kiko Casilla has been anything more than a 6 out of 10 in the game was probably 18 months ago, to be honest. It shocks me that we're paying that guy 40 grand a week. He just needs to leave the club. Johnny Alioski, I'm going to pick out as well. There's been a bit of horrendous rumours, and I'm not going to lie, horrendous rumours about him going to a certain club. I'm just hoping it's not the case. It would be really just be horrendous if that happens, but hope that's not going to be the case. But he's just not good enough for us anymore, if I'm being honest. I think he needs regular game time at his age, so I'm going to get rid of Johnny Alioski. And the last one, it's a hard one, this, but I'm going to go Helder Costa as the last one. Not that he's a bad player. I think he's good enough for this level. Just the consistency now. And I'm thinking Rafinha, Jack Harrison are quite far ahead of him. We've got the likes of Somerville, Paveda coming through the academy and doing really well in the under-23s as well, and a couple other wingers. Just thinking now for Helder Costa, I think now's probably the time to move him on, where we'll probably get the maximum value as well. That'll split opinion amongst the fan base. I think the first 2 will be obvious ones, Garcia and Alioski. But Costa might just split opinion, but I'm going to go Helder Costa to lead as well.
Okay. Just before you go to your ends, I'll just give you a couple of questions here. Liam Morrison says, would you take Callum Wilson from Newcastle if they got relegated?
Yeah, why not? I don't think he'd start for us, to be honest, because I don't think he does enough in terms of pressing and general build-up. I don't think he does what Bamford can do for this Leeds team, but I'd definitely take him. What an option to have, Callum Wilson. Okay.
And Laura Duffy's back, so she said for Leeds, the goalkeeper, I can't remember his name, who's that? Biridri and Alioski.
Crowell.
I don't know. And in Crowell, I think it's Tim Krul, Neto and Milik were the ones she suggested for coming in. A few of the chat are suggesting Rafinha to leave. I don't think you want Rafinha to leave. I think that's just more a big. I think people think a big offer.
I don't want to know about Liverpool putting bids in. I
don't even think it's. I don't think it would be just Liverpool would be looking at him. I think he's a very, very talented player. So who'd your ins be then?
So my ins would be one name that keeps popping up amongst the fan base is Rodrigo de Paul, but we've got competition. I think you guys are a competition as well, or among the competition. I'm just hoping that the fact we can offer regular game time, the BL's are relevant to it, with Rodrigo de Paul being Argentinian, the fact we went in for him last summer. Look, the fee's not going to be cheap, but he fits this team really, really well. He can play in several different positions. He can play 10, you can play as a 6, you can play as just centre mid, as a number 8, you can do a bit of everything. Top creativity, perfect replacement.
I think you've got a clear run at him, Oscar, this summer.
I'm hoping so, mate. Because honestly, if we get him through the door, absolutely brilliant stuff. And maybe it puts a bit less pressure on Rafinha. And if Rafinha does go, we've got maybe that replacement in the door as well. But
I'll bring it up in a minute. Laura's just correcting me. It's Alex Krall from Sparta. See, Laura knows her stuff. And to follow that, Kieran Thorne, who's going to get a ban after this show, is saying, Daytripper out, me, Avi, and Gav, and in Laura Duffy, Avo, and Rajiv. I mean, to be fair, they're not bad ins.
Surprised he didn't pick himself.
No, well, no one had them on. Anyway, what was your other in? Sorry, mate.
So other ins, I've gone for Jose Dyer from Valencia left back. Yeah. He's been around for years. I can't believe he's never moved to from Valencia, considering how bad they have been the last couple of years. Fantastic player, assist machine, defensively solid, technical ability, offers a bit. He's that final piece of the jigsaw at the back. I don't really want a right back. I don't really want a centre back. I'm happy with our options there. Left back, Jose Dyer, perfect option. And the last one, it's not the sexiest choice. I'm not going to lie. It's not the sexiest choice. But on the basis that I get rid of Kiko Garcia, I've gone Sam Johnston on the basis West Brom go down. I'm perfectly happy with Ilan Meslier as our number 1. I just want a solid backup so I'm not panicking every single time Ilan Meslier goes up for a corner. Because I'm just thinking if he gets injured, we're going to lose the next 6 games until he's back. Because we are incapable of getting a result with Kiko Garcia in goal. I think.
Yeah, sorry. Liverpool could give you Lawrence Karius. We'll literally give you him. you can, we'll pay you to take him if you want.
Take your pick. We'll give you Adrian as well if you wanted to.
We can't
our
give-
record of goalkeepers
We can't,
is
we
just
can't give
shocking.
we can't give him Adrian Ferris. He's a free in the summer, so he can go wherever he wants. We've still got a contract with Carriers. Cool. So
Oh, my word.
Matt, Leeds. What's your thoughts on Leeds transfers?
To be honest, I was a bit surprised when he said Heller Costa out, but look, like you mentioned, if Crescencio Somerville coming up through that academy, really, really good players. Watching them they played West Brom in the Premier League too there at the weekend, and actually some fantastic players in that team. Joe Gelhardt as well, really good player coming up to that academy. Kiko Casilla, I think, is a bit of a no-brainer. He's just there kind of taking money off you at this stage. For Alioski, I don't know what rumours there are, but I'm a fan of him, to be honest. I think he's a versatile player, but I suppose he's not a natural left back. So I think bringing Jose Gaia in, a really, really good player. I'm a big fan of him as well. I suppose it is a good move there as well. For Sam Johnson, there's been Spurs fans calling for him in the last couple of weeks, but I think 55 goals conceded this season, not the best record, but I think he's better than the Championship and kind of teetering on the edge of maybe being good enough for the Premier League. So that could be a good shout, a backup keeper for a Leeds team that I probably think will be fighting for Europe in the next couple of years.
Cool. Avi, what's your thoughts on Leeds?
Yeah, the outs. Oscar knows about the Costas Castillas more than I do. And who was the other player that you said to go?
Alioski.
Alioski, yeah, I wouldn't know about the first two. The Helder Costa is a surprising one. I think Matt just mentioned. But the ins, yeah, I mean, Jose Gaia is brilliant. I mean, we looked at him quite a few years ago. But it's surprising he's still, what is he, 26, 27?
Yeah, I think
he's still 26. So. And he's a consistent left back as well. And you thought when Valencia were going through that period where they were selling off their stars, I'm surprised he just sort of stayed on. But no, I think he'd be a astute signing. And the other two
Rodrigo De Paul and Sam Johnston.
Yeah, De Paul, I think he's a good player. He's done really well this season for Udinese. I know people have started to link Liverpool with him, but I think you lot might have a clear run on him. I don't think he's high on our priority.
Okay. Right, I'll give you mine because obviously I don't follow Leeds as well as other clubs. So I had Alioski and I had Costa as two of the outs. The other one I had, only because of conversation I've heard you and Joe have on your watch-alongs, was your captain, Cooper. I have heard lots of talk that he's been a good pro for you, he's helped you get through the leagues, but is this one jump too many for him? Or if you are going to keep him, is he going to have to start becoming a bench player for you? And players I had in was, one I had, which... I don't know, people might think it's a bit left field, but I'm surprised he didn't get a Premier League move. Was when Bournemouth got relegated, I was surprised Adam Smith, no one went for him. He's a solid fullback, but he can play left back and right back, and he's pretty good either side. And I sort of feel like he probably should be in the Premier League next year anyway, but I just think a versatile fullback is pretty rare these days. And then the other two I thought one was Dan James, because you're constantly linked with him. You've nearly had him twice. And I just feel like that's a rumour that just doesn't go away. So I don't know whether chip sale, but I could see that being one you would try and do again. And then the other one, because it won't go away, is there is still the Ben White chat. And, he's getting mixed reviews at Brighton. And you do wonder, is that just because he's getting used to the Premier League? Or is that because maybe he wanted the move that didn't come off for him? So they were the ones I had. Exactly, I agree. They're not the most exciting of moves, but they feel like solid upgrades for where you are. Because, to be fair to Leeds, there isn't massive issues for Leeds, in fairness. The only one argument you could make is maybe you need a bit more of a consistent striker behind a Bamford if Bamford goes off the boil or Bamford picks up a knock. But then is that Rodrigo? And when he's a bit more settled in the Prem, is that where he's going to be? Cheng Dowes has also mentioned Ryan Kent. Would he be a good option for Leeds? Currently at Rangers.
They were linked with him, aren't they?
They were a while.
We don't have any right-footed wingers, so it will be a shout, to be fair. Just purely for balance. I mean, we're so left-side heavy. I mean, honestly, every single window, it's pretty much a ratio of 2 left-footers to 1 right-footer. Honestly, the team would be just left-footed just entirely if it wasn't for Bielsa and also having discussions. But Cooper's an interesting one. What I would say is, Chris, since New Year, to be fair, he's done really well. He has done really well. I mean, long term, it's perfectly fair to say. I think Cooper will admit himself, long term, he's not number 1. He's not number 2. He's probably not even number 3 now. For me, he probably is our 4th choice centre back. And I just think just for the leadership in the dressing room, I'm happy to keep him for another season or 2. Ben White, again, I just think Robin Koch, Pascal Strauch, even Diego Llorente, all done really well for us. I think Llorente, the last couple of weeks, has been superb. I just think the thing with Ben White is, I've no doubt about his quality. We've seen what he's done in the Bielsa team. But I just don't think, in terms of the money wise, how much you'll cost. We were quoting 40 million last summer. I don't think it'll have gone down massively. It'll probably still be about 30 net this summer. I don't think it's worth it. Considering I think Cox going to be the better player. I think he's better in the air. Certain elements of his game are more suitable. He's already playing regularly for Germany. Ben White can't get ahead of Tyrone Mings or Connor Cody. That's the mad thing. In terms of
I mean, well, the mad thing is, out of those two, the best ones is Mings' partner, Konsa, who still who doesn't get picked in the England squad. Who to me is the more informed centre back, if you, in my opinion. But the other one is a bit of a left field one, Daka from RB Salzburg. I feel like he's due a move. The question is where. But I think he's done his apprenticeship now at Salzburg. I think now he needs to move. Does he do the Leipzig route, which a lot of Salzburg players do, or does he do the leap to England? Which like Manny did. Manny did the leap from Salzburg to England. So Daka again, maybe that is the type of player that you need as a backup to.
Take him, mate. 100%.
Yeah, and the nice plus with Salzburg, it's not going to break the bank because they don't really charge like stupid fees. Leipzig can. But I don't think Salzburg are quite the same. Right, let's come on to Matt. Spurs. How are you improving Spurs?
Not as much as we need to be improved, I'd say is the first point there. We need a lot more than 3 players. First position I'm going to change.
Your 3 priorities then.
Yeah, the first position I'm going to change is goalkeeper. Hugo Lloris, incredible servant to this club. Honestly, a personal hero of mine. He's been through us from joining, I think, in 2011 or 2012. Stayed through the really bad periods of Tim Sherwood, Andre Villas-Boas. And he's done a lot for this club. Got us to a Champions League final, but 34 years of age, the errors are creeping into his game more than ever. It's scary when he has the ball at his feet. He's just not the keeper he once was, and look, like I said about Aguero, it's no criticism of him. It's a natural decline that comes with age. So I'd ship him off to PSG. I think there's a year and a half left on his contract, so get 10-15 million from them, and use that money and a little bit more to get Mike Maignan from Lille, who is someone I'm really, really excited about. So a player the Spurs are actually interested in. I think L'Equipe are saying that we're genuinely looking into getting him. His stats are sensational. I think he's 1 error leading to goal in each of his last 5 seasons. He's still young. I think he's 25 years of age. He's not the tallest keeper in the world, but he's technically brilliant. He's quick off his line. He's good coming for crosses. He's which is something we need. We do concede a lot of goal from set pieces. He's good from close range, good from long range. And look, Lille at the moment are joint top of the French Ligue 1 with PSG on 63 points. And one thing you need to help that happen is a keeper that knows what he's doing. And I think we're at a stage now with Lloris where the team is a bit more cautious and a bit more worried when he's in goal because they don't trust him. And I think Maignan is a man who could change that. A player who we were talking about just before the stream somehow got into the England squad, Eric Dyer. He has to go. Some Spurs fans are talking about getting 10 million for him. I would give any club 10 million to take him because he's just, I don't know how he's still a footballer, to be honest. Like you mentioned there, some of the players that have been left out of the England squad. I don't know how Dyer's made it in. Don't think that needs too much of an explanation. A player to potentially replace him is Milan Skriniar. Now, it's not the most realistic deal in the world, but he's someone who Tottenham were absolutely pushing for last summer. Our chief scout, Steve Hitchen, was out in Milan last summer trying to get this done, and Steve Hitchen doesn't leave the training ground. You never see him out in public, but he's there trying to get that done. Skriniar, I think 26 years of age at this stage. He's been at the top level with Milan for a while. Internationally, he plays in a decent setup as well. I think he's good in the air. He's that commander that we need at the back, and I'd bring him in now for Dyer, but he's potentially a long-term replacement for Toby Alderweireld as well, who has a year and a half max left at his time at Spurs. Another player out is Matt Doherty, who, look, I mean, I'm Irish. I wish it worked out for him, but honestly, the man is absolutely atrocious. He played in right wing for Ireland against Serbia the other night, and he looks more out of place in right back than he did in right wing there. So get him out, and I bring in Max Aarons from Norwich, who could command a very high fee. I think they've said they want 35 million from Bayern Munich, and I think if it does come down to Spurs or Bayern Munich going for him, it'll be hard to convince him. But I'm hoping the likes of Benjamin Pavard, Joshua Kimmich, and Sarr, the fact they're at Bayern Munich, he knows he's not going to get first team football there. Yeah, people say that a lot.
Yeah. Just Kieran's just saying, take a breath. It's like watching a machine gun go off. It's very impressive. Brilliant. Go on, Avi. I'm sick of my own voice. Go on, Avi. You read what Laura's suggested. Partly is because I can't pronounce half the names.
Spurs out Dyer, Dele, Auriel, and in Ivan Toney from Brentford. Good shout. Mancini, good shout from Roma, and Haug. I think he just joined Milan.
Oh, so Jens Peter Hauge, what a player!
I don't think that'll happen. He just joined. And Honorat from Stade Brest. That's for Matt. But Hauger's a great player. But he just joined them, hasn't he?
Yeah, he
this summer, I think in January.
Yeah, it was in January. One of the leagues we cover at work is the Norwegian ladies area, and he's playing for Bodo Glimt. I think it's something like 36 goal contributions last season. They had some incredible players in there.
Scored a great goal on his
Watford as well.
Scored a great goal in his debut too for Milan.
Yeah.
Max Aarons, that's a great shout. That's a really good shout. Yeah. Norwich it is amazing because last season, if you look at the players that they've released now, Jamal Lewis, who I think is a good player, I think would have been better than Simicast for us. Ben Godfrey's done a really good job at Everton. Then you got Max Aarons as well. And yet they conceded abundance of goals. I know it's the system that their manager was playing, Farke, but they are really good individual players. And Max Aarons, if Spurs can get a tune out of him, and there was talks that Munich might nab him for the summer.
Yeah, the other one that's been mentioned is Danny Ings.
No.
Would you not have Danny Ings as a backup to Kane?
No, would you want to be a backup at Spurs though? When
He give you the option to rotate. He definitely wants a European side, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think at this stage of Ings' career, he'd take a kind of backup option to try and be at that top level again. Look, if you could even count Spurs as top level anymore, but I think Carlos Vinicius will be made permanent. So I don't think I wouldn't take Ings, but even if we did need a striker, I don't think it would be the best option.
Okay. Oscar, what would you do with Spurs?
I think the right back situation, one person I thought straight away, just down the road in London, was Soufal at West Ham. I've been very, very impressed by him. I think he's kind of a Mourinho style right back, to be fair. His full backs are always battlers, warriors, good defensively, good going forwards. I really like Soufal, to be honest. I would pick him out, to be fair. In terms of centre backs, again, it's hard to say because Spurs' budget, if they finish in the top four compared to if they finish in the Europa League, I think it's going to be very, very different.
Yeah.
The centre-backs, I'm going to say Konza. I think Chris mentioned him before. I really, really like Konza. And I think alongside Alderweireld, I think it could work for maybe a season or two. I think Alderweireld just needs that athletic centre-back alongside him. I still think he's fine, to be honest, Alderweireld. Technically, it's just his legs have gone a little bit. And alongside someone who's solid, I think he does okay. I think, look, it's not ideal. But Matty Cash is a shout as well. But I think for a couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 seasons, having Konza alongside him, and again, a Mourinho-style centre-back, I think could work quite well, to be fair. And then in terms of CDM, again, it's kind of what's realistic right now for Tottenham. I mean, Declan Royce, if they're finishing the Champions League, could potentially be realistic. But again, it's if it's going to happen. But
I don't think we need a CDM though. We got Højbjerg and Dembélé with Oliver Skip coming back from Norwich as well.
That's true.
I think we're safe in there. I wish I said Winks actually to sell. God, there's so many.
He's depressed. Again.
But one shout out in terms of goalkeeper, but I think he's actually banned at the moment because he failed the drugs test. Was the keeper at Ajax, who's
Andre Onana?
Completely escaping me now. But
Andre Onana.
Yeah, but I think he is. Am I right in saying he's banned at the moment for a
12 months.
There you go. That's
sounds perfect, doesn't it, mate?
Jack Stephen from City. Could he?
The American, yeah.
Yeah, I think
I knew that was coming up.
I think we need a keeper who is playing first team football. Because people always ask me would I take Dean Henderson or Nick Pope. And look, in the last couple of weeks it's changed around a bit. I would take Nick Pope purely because he just plays more consistent football than Henderson. I know, look, Henderson had Sheffield United last season, but he's not been in that United team too much this year. So I'd rather look for someone who's a first choice keeper at their own team rather than taking someone else's backup. Because if you do want to be at that level, I really want to take people's leftovers.
What about Robert Sanchez at Brighton? He's really impressed me, to be honest.
Matt, what about Ramsdale? What about Ramsdale?
Oh God!
Come on! Avi, that's a yellow card. Come on! I want Matt to come back on the show. Let's not be dropping that low. I was going to say, what's your opinion, Avi? But we'll forget that bit. I mean, in terms of me for Spurs, I had get rid of Aurier because my thing of Aurier is no matter how improved he is, whenever we play Tottenham, or whenever I hear any club play Tottenham, they always go at the right back. Why? He'll give you something eventually. And 9 times out of 10, he will eventually give you something. What is the replacement for him? I don't know whether you'd want this. Would you bring Walker Peters back from Southampton? I know it wasn't a loan, but he's developed very well. And I think if you had him, he's probably going in that way fullbacks are going. I think the move Southampton's done him perfect because you're now seeing what the player was. He just wasn't getting regular games, which for his age, I understand why. In terms of centre back, I mean, look, to me, for centre backs, you can get rid of Dyer, Alderweireld because of time, and Sanchez. Were just I don't see it with Sanchez. The one I'm surprised is still at Burnley. Is Tarkowski. The way you play, because you play a bit of a deeper line, would suit Tarkowski's game more. He's dominant in the air, which is what you need, and he's no mug on the ball, and he's still one of those players who's probably an outside shot for England. So that was one player, and then the other one I had was go back to Southampton again. Got Southampton fans will hate me. Ward-Prowse. If you got rid of
brilliant player,
Ward-Prowse for you, set pieces. It's just like a wet dream for Harry Kane and Son, and Mourinho loves someone of that ilk. And look, we've seen he's brilliant at Southampton. He makes that team tick, and obviously he's played with Højbjerg before, and then it gives you a chance that if you want to push Ndombele further on, and actually, I don't think he's the most athletic, but I think if you play a 3, which you guys tend to sometimes, would cover that. Because I think someone like Lamela possibly his time's up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to strike a nerve. I think I love Ward-Prowse's player. He's fantastic, but I think our midfield is just so it's just absolutely packed. Like I mentioned, we've Højbjerg, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Ali, Skip, Winks, Sissoko, Bergwijn, Lamela, Lucas, Bale, Son, all can play in those central roles and stuff like that. So I'd love to get in a midfielder. I think if we were going to go for Marcel Sabitzer, we'd my first choice. I think he's available for about £20 million on a year left in his contract. But I think we just gotta sort out the back. Honestly, I don't think we need to look for those flair players further forward because there's no point in scoring 5 goals if you're going to concede 6 every game.
Yeah, but would you have Ward-Prowse over Skip, for example, or Winks?
No. Over Winks? Oh God, I'd have you, Chris, over Harry Winks.
But I am fantastic, but I'm busy. I am busy at the moment.
Cricket player.
I'm more of a hockey player, to be honest. Okay. One from Ger Cahill is Lamptey at Brighton, who, to be honest, because of his injury, I think everyone's forgotten about him. But it's how he comes back from his injury, because it is a long injury now he's been out with. Someone else suggested Koulibaly, because the rumour is his fee's been reduced to 35 million. So it's not bringing down the average age of your squad, which you of me have said is probably an issue. But it's a very experienced player, which maybe next to a Sanchez or next to the young Welsh lad you've got,
Roden.
Maybe that's what they need. Maybe if you kept a Lloris, it would calm him down a bit, having that sort of a leader in front of you.
Yeah, look, I'd love Koulibaly at the club. He's experienced. He's almost the perfect centre back. But yeah, like people always mention to me, like I'm doing a kind of transfer special on my own channel over the international break, and people are always mentioning these like the Paulo Dybalas, the Koulibalys, these like actual top players. And realistically, we're not going to be able to attract those players to the club. And like as tough it is to accept that, like if any like top player, if Spurs go in for them, if another team puts their name in the hat, I mean that's where they're going, both in terms of money and the potential for trophies. But as Shane says, what's happened to Tanganga? I think we're going to see a lot more of Jaffa Tanganga going into the end of the season. There's just this weird thing, and I put Tanganga and Joe Rodon in the exact same boat. Very good players who, when they play well, but are prone to mistake purely because of their inexperience and naivety. But really good players that I think we'll see a lot more of going into the end of the season.
Cool. Yeah, fair enough. Right. Avi.
What we all been waiting for.
Strap yourselves in. This is the man who predicted a 5-0 against Fulham. This is the man who we said, what medal did Tom Daly get? He said diving, so honestly, for these Liverpool ins and outs, anything could happen. So I'd say get your popcorn ready, and God help us. Laura, please rescue me with something good in the comments. Right, go on then, my friends. Let's hear your Liverpool transfer stuff.
So I'm going to be actually sensible here. So the 3 that I've gone out with, just because of the rumor mill and whatnot, I've gone with Gini Wijnaldum out, unfortunately. I've gone with Joel Matip, just can't stay fit. He's a bit of a biscuit. He's gone. And Sadio Mane, which is going to come a surprise to many, but I think those 3 out. And my ins, I've gone with, so Matip first, just can't stay fit. So I've gone with Pau Torres from Villarreal, a left-sided player. Reminds me of a complete carbon copy of the way Daniel Agger was for us. Again, he
injured.
Yeah. Agger couldn't unfortunately keep fit. He had a bad persistent back injury, didn't he? But Pau Torres I think he's brilliant. He's a young Spanish international. I think I think he's mustard. I think he's the next sort of big thing. And I think we can get him for like 40 million, 45 even. And then my midfield, I've gone with Gini out and I've brought in Pedro Gonçalves, who was at Wolves, went back to Portugal. And he's doing wonders this season. There's talk that he's the next Bruno Fernandes, but he's a little bit slightly different. The way he can carry the ball from deep. He's a really good player, creativity. He's got a few assists this season, chipped in with a few goals. Just love the way he can just carry the ball forward. I think we missed that in our midfield 3 as well at the moment. Just like a 10 who can drop back as well, and his work rate's great as well. And then from my left-sided of the front 3, I've gone with a player that I've tweeted a lot about recently, Amine Gouiri, who plays for Nice, a French international who's come from the excellent school of Lyon. Left-sided pace, he's young. He's being called up for the under-21s. He's scored a fair few goals for them already. But he's a 1 and 2 this season, chipped in with a few assists. So he's a player that I think we should be keeping an eye on for the summer, just in case he moves.
Okay. Right, I'll read a couple of comments out, and then I must admit I'm surprised. I was waiting for Mbappe, I was waiting for Haaland, I was waiting for
I told
all
you
sorts of madness. God, it won't last. So, speaking of sensible, here's Laura Duffy's. Out, Chamberlain, Origi, Matip, and in, Botman, cover your ears, Oscar, Rafinha, and Hassam Owa. And she's also I would get rid of Woodburn, Wilson, Karius, and Grujic, which are...
There's loads to go out, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. And then Liam Morrissey has said, out would go Origi, Shaq, and Ox, and in would come Mbappe, Ora, and Pershers. That's some shopping list there. Right, Manny out. I think the chat's nearly exploded with Manny out. I think a lot are saying big call. Now, you and me obviously have had a bit of back and two privately because we like to wind each other up. I can see both sides of the coin, as in he's had, by his standards, a poor year. So are we catching him before he does a Bobby and goes really off the boil? It's just part of me that goes, I still think Salah and Mane are your 2 most important forwards. Yeah. And look, I suppose the only club that can buy him is PSG. So if he wants to go to Paris and he wants to play in France, fair play to him. I don't think he will go unless they angle for a move. If Manny comes and says, look, I really want to go, then I think they'll let him go. But otherwise, I don't see us pushing for it. That's just me. Oscar, what you doing to Liverpool, apart from buying 17 centre-backs?
I personally won't get rid of Mane. I think Mane's... I definitely see the case. I think obviously he's not getting any younger, but I think even though it's just off the bench, I think I'd probably be looking to get rid of Firmino first out the 3. I think Firmino's the one now that still a top player, but probably the one that I don't see getting back to that level that he was at kind of like 2 or 3 years ago, to be fair. Still a top player, to be fair. But I've gone Konsa again as one of the centre-backs, purely on the basis that when Van Dijk comes back, I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed that he'll be able to play game after game after game after game after game after game. I think when you've had an injury like that, there's going to be the odds. He's not going to get that bad an injury again, but he's going to have the odds week or so where it kind of flares up and that lot. I think it's almost inevitable when you get an injury like that. So we're going to go Konsa, probably the most natural player in terms of height, aerial dominance, quality on the ball, who can come in and almost replace Van Dijk whenever necessary, and more than anything, replace Matip, because obviously Matip's fitness is the massive concern.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah. It's. I think Aouar is a great suggestion. Great suggestion, to be fair. Gives that a bit more creativity in the midfield. I think it's a really good suggestion, to be fair. Seen in the comments there. I'm not sure if this is within your budget. I'm not sure. I'm absolutely not sure at all. It might seem an outrageous one. I've gone Lukaku as a replacement for Firmino. Is that within your budget? I don't know. Will FFG go for it?
No one knows. No one knows what our budget is. Everyone guesses it. Everyone likes to be negative, but no one knows. The interesting thing I've heard about Liverpool, which I'd not thought about, was when we had our big summer 3 years ago. When we bought in Van Dijk, we bought in Keita, we bought in Alisson within about a 6-month period. They're all paid off now. That actually got paid off this summer, which people probably forget about. So technically, there is quite big payments that we've done that we don't have now. So does that is that where the opportunity? Look, football fans, it's probably the most boring things to talk about, but it's how things work at the moment. You know, and Matt, you know, me and Matt talked about with Tottenham. You know, that's how Tottenham get some of. You know, how Tottenham afforded him. If you get the structure right, it's very manageable for most clubs. It's getting the structure right, and that's where the debate. That to me is where City are different. Where everyone goes, City have only spent 65 million. I say only in the big world. That's not big money for them. Difference with City is City could pay a big down payment up front, so they have barely any installments. They pay the chunk up front, which why a lot of clubs go, I'll take it for less than the market value because I get a chunk of money up front. So Lukaku, I don't know. It'd certainly be an interesting one. I mean, I'm not gonna cry if we end up with Lukaku sat at Liverpool.
I'll tell you one player who would have thought would be obvious, absolutely obvious as a replacement for Firmino before his horrendous injury, Raul Jimenez. Before that injury, I think in terms of affordability, consistency, being able to play that false nine role and also play a bit further up the pitch as well. I think Raul Jimenez would have been absolutely. He might still be, depending on how he comes back.
I think Lautaro Martinez at Inter Milan would be just the perfect fit. If we're looking at that sort of next sort of phase after Bobby, I think he would fit. But I think we're looking for a goal scorer this summer. No nonsense, number 9.
Cool.
I won't say who.
Okay, Matt, that's a quiet I've known you to be for a little while. So come on, Matt. You can let
He's on a recharge, isn't he? He needs to recharge before he goes again.
You give out to me when I talk and you give out to me when I don't talk, Chris. I can't win.
Oh no, I just worry about you when you're quiet. It's not natural. It's like me not being sarcastic.
Yeah, true. Look, I think for the outs, I think Wijnaldum is a simple one there. Like I saw some people saying apparently Klopp has made one last appeal to the board to keep him, but I think his future is signed. I think he will be off to Barcelona. You know, Ronald Koeman, he wants him there. He'll turn him down. In terms of the incomings, I'm a bit surprised with the kind of level of player you got. And look, Pedro Gonzalez, incredible. He's, I think, playing in the exact same role really for Sporting Lisbon as Bruno Fernandes was. I think last time I checked, he had 15 goals in 22 games this season. Really, really good run there. And look, if he's anything like his predecessor, I think he'd be doing well to get him in there. I'm not as surprised as the chat is with that Sadio Mane call, because the majority of Liverpool fans I've spoken to have said it's probably the end for Mane. And it's probably it could be a bit abrupt and it could be a harsh way to look at it. But when you look at the decline in his form that we've seen over the last year, you can understand a little bit of a blip or something like that. And I think the best players in the world can come out of this period. You look at Eden Hazard back in Chelsea that year, he went without scoring until he scored against Tottenham to cost us the league title. But I think Sadio Mane out isn't the worst call in the world. Now, Avy, I'm not going to lie, I haven't a clue who you said to replace him. I've never heard of him before, but I'll trust your judgment on that one. But I do think Firmino needs to be replaced, because you can talk about him being the defensive striker, the assist, the second assist, and all that. But at the end of the day, if you want to win consistent trophies, you need a goal scorer up front. And look, Salah can be that goal scorer, but you need. I honestly do believe you need a proper out and out number 9. And look, I don't think it's going to be Haaland. I don't think it's going to be Kane. I'm not sure Lukaku is realistic, but I think there are strikers out there that you could get to replace Firmino. I'd probably get rid of Firmino before I get rid of Mane, but I do see where you're coming from with Mane. Yeah,
the thing, me and Avy both said this with Firmino, the not scoring goals thing has always been a thing with Firmino. That's not new. It's the off the work stuff that he was brilliant at 2 years ago. That's gone. That's nowhere near. He's giving it away too much. He just isn't doing the things that Bobby was very good at. And look, he's been with Liverpool 5-6 years now. It could be that we've just ran the lad into the ground. That's just what happens.
I think that's a great shout, Brecken. I was going to agree with you. I think he's literally shattered. And I think all this hiding that he's got a knee injury, I just think the club
give me a rest.
Jot us back. They've said, listen, Bobby, just take 2-3 weeks off. Just go and recharge your battery. Just go and do what you want to do and come back. I think that's what it is, literally. He's just been ran to the ground for the last 6 years. He's averaging 52 games a season for the last 6 years. That's no joke. That's without an injury as well.
Yeah, so that's why I think Mane's having an off form this year, because when have we rested Mane? And he's playing the AFCON to like the bitter end quite a lot. So I think they've said he's had something like 3 weeks off in 3 years. And look, Mane can say, "Oh, it's all in your head." That'll take its toll at some point. So that's why the Mane thing, I wouldn't sell him yet, because my opinion is I think it's more of he needs us to get a better backup striker, so we can actually say to him, you can sit on the bench for 2 months and just rest yourself and then come back firing. That's what I hope. I mean, look, it won't be the first time I've been wrong. It certainly won't be the last time. Dan J has said he would outs would be Wijnaldum, Shaqiri, Origi, and ins would be Concert, Ward-Prowse, and Martinez from Inter.
I'll take
So,
that too. I would take James Ward-Prowse tomorrow at Liverpool if I could. There's a lot of people that wouldn't, but I think he's a absolutely technically superb player. Really is. His work rate goes underrated because of his set pieces, but he's a really good player. Really good player. He scored yesterday as well against the mighty San Marino. So
he did. I still think that's the big Coutinho thing we haven't replaced. Is the dead ball specialist. Trent can do it now and again, but if we get a free kick 30 yards out from goal, you hope Trent puts it in. But anybody else who steps up, I'm looking going, I just don't fancy anyone else. You know, Thiago maybe, but we haven't seen him take too many. But that's what Ward-Prowse to me gives you. I mean, for my Liverpool ones, I'd said Matip was out. I'd said one of Keita or Ox. I don't think both will go. I think it's more market value in Keita. The only reason Ox may stay is the homegrown thing, which is still an issue for Liverpool. We've literally got 7 homegrown players. So if we sell Ox, we need another one.
The versatility too, I suppose.
Yeah. The only diddle you could do for if you wanted to get rid of Ox would be whoever replaces Adrian, try and get someone like a Ben Foster. English lad, or like City do with Scott Carson. Scott Carson is literally there to be the home quota. It's not
Spurs as well.
Yeah. Like we did with Brad Jones. Until unfortunately we had to play him, but he was just like third choice. He'd sit there. That's our home quota done. Then we had to start playing him, and he dives out the way of the ball, which is
didn't he fall asleep on the bench once as well?
No, that was Moreno. Moreno fell asleep when he got bored of his flip bottle challenge. He fell asleep. And that's a guy on 60 grand a week. I wish I was a footballer sometimes. So, and then the other one I said I'd put Bobby as an out. But I do see where Avi's coming from with the Manny shout. My ends were one was Kalatakar. Now I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen loads of him play. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a connoisseur of French football. But the fact Liverpool bid 25 million for him in January says to me they've looked at him and they obviously like him. And he's of the age Liverpool need a centre back, 24. That's kind of the age range we need to start looking at because we haven't got many 24-year-olds. For Gini, I'd actually go Hasamawa. I don't think the Gini replacement should be a like for like. We've got enough defensive-minded players in the squad in Fabinho, Thiago, and Henderson. I actually think this is the year we do the system tweak, and I think an hour is what we need. And I think that's what you need against a low block. Someone who's just a bit different, a bit creative. And I'm picking French lads playing France because I think that's where you're going to find any value in the market this year is in France. And then for striker, I'd said the inter-striker Martinez. The few bits I've seen of him, he just looks brilliant.
Yes.
I could be wrong. He'd be a lot of money, but he's not Mbappe money. He's not Haaland money because he's not Lukaku money. I think those three are very, very big fees. And I think that is you're selling a Manny to get one of them. So that's they're the three I go with. How realistic they are? I think 2 are realistic. I think Martinez is probably not. I mean, look, but we're like you, Matt. We could probably list over 7 or 8 players to go out. But in an nice way, you Woodburns of the world, your Shakiris, the players that don't play very often. You've probably got players like that you're going to get rid of, but they don't touch the sides. They're on loan. You never see them.
Yeah, not worth mentioning.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So cool. Right. So see any more on the chat? Okay. No, nothing. Oh, here we go. One more. Sam Tandy, I apologize if I've got your name wrong there. Kalatakar, Aouar, and Mbappe. I'd love that. The Mbappe thing, it just doesn't ring true to me that it's going to happen. If it happens, look, I'm happy to be wrong, but I just doesn't feel like it's there for me. Cool. All right. So before we go, Oscar, where can people find you?
So you can find us on All These TV on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Try and put something out pretty much every single day because trying to get through lockdown. Doing a lot of live videos at the minute, and yeah, it's just a good bit of fun. Do watch-alongs, match previews, match reviews. You can find us on All Leeds TV, guys.
Awesome. And Matt, where can everyone find you? They must know by now, but let's just.
There might be one person here who doesn't. I need every subscriber I can get. On YouTube, I'm Matt Hayes Tottenham blog. Like I always say, if Spurs are playing and they're losing and you want to see an Irish kid cry, head over to my channel. Guaranteed to have some tears there. At Matt Hayes THFC on Twitter as well. But look, while you're here, make sure to subscribe to the Daytrippers and All These TV as well. You often find me in the live chat over there. So support those 2 channels as well.
Good. Didn't you get past 6,000 subscribers recently?
I did. I got past it last week when we're already at 6.2k. We're flying, Chris.
There you go. Listen, me and Matt have a lot of fun. I do take the mickey out of Matt, but give him a follow. His stuff is really good, and he works hard, so he does deserve credit for it. As does Oscar. don't we feel? Avy,
Cheers, Chris.
you're just on Carnage. You're
Just
destroying.
drifting
you're
along
just
on Discord now.
drafts.
You'll find me on the Discord on the
God,
groups now.
Discord.
So I'm going havoc on Discord right now.
He is. And then when he's not doing that, he's WhatsApping me just to tell me what he's done on Discord. So I'm having to tidy up his mess. So great. Anyway, it is 11:15. So I think that's enough of you lot listening to us talk. So thank you once again. Friday Focus will be back next Friday, and we will actually have some Premier League football to talk about, which will be a nice novelty for us. So we will let you know the lineup closer to the time. But listen, once again, thank you very much. And now listen, we're on Discord. Please give us your feedback. Please let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you like us doing stuff like this, we can mix this up. We had good feedback from the draft, so we probably are going to do another draft at some point. But please let us know what you like, what you don't like. All opinions are welcome. But anyway, until next Friday, I'll see you then. Goodbye.